Berlin, when John F. Kennedy stood at the Brandenberg Gate in 1963 and declared "Ich bin ein Berliner, I am a Berliner," it was to assure Berliners and West Germans that the United States would never abandon a city then surrounded by Soviet-aligned forces. Over the years, the statement has stood as a symbol of American commitment to Europe in the post-war era despite being mocked for its associations with jelly donuts. Almost 6 decades on, another U.S. president just declared his affiliation to Germany, this time with very different implications. "I have great respect for Germany. My father's from Germany. Both of my parents are from the EU. Despite the fact they don't treat us well on trade," Trump said at a news conference in Brussels Thursday on the second day of the NATO summit. In reality, Trump's father Frederick Christ Trump was born in New York to German parents before the European Union was created. His mother was born in Scotland. Trump's comments came after 2 days that have brought U.S. allies in Europe, and Germany in particular. While Trump refrained from fully escalating his simmering dispute with NATO member states this week, his vision of how U.S. foreign policy should look differs greatly from that of his counterparts in Europe. In Europe, an increasing number of Trump's demands, for instance that member states should spend 4% of their GDP on defense, are perceived as mere provocations that could derail an alliance that has persisted through the Cold War, 9/11s and U.S. military incursions in the Middle East. Many Germans fear that Trump may focus on the balance sheet, but is falling short of taking into account the benefits of a Western alliance that is shaped by the United States, rather than acting against U.S. interests. Those concerns mounted this week after Trump claimed that Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia. "We have to talk about the billions and billions of dollars that's being paid to the country we're supposed to be protecting you against," Trump said, speaking on camera and referring to U.S. military bases in Germany that long protected the country against the Soviet Union. Indicating just how much John F. Kennedy's promise to defend Berlin is still on the minds of Germans, Chancellor Angela Merkel chose to respond to Trump by referring to her own upbringing in communist East Germany. "I've experienced myself a part of Germany controlled by the Soviet Union, and I'm very happy today that we are united in freedom," Merkel said. "It's a freedom that would likely not exist today without U.S. support. Today, about 35,000 U.S. military personnel are still based there, deployed from their missions in the Middle East and Africa and acting as a deterrence against Russia." Trump has received some support in Germany, the rest of Europe, and at home for demanding that Germans pay more for defense. But while the essence of Trump's criticism may be hard to refute in some instances, it's the style and the scale of his threats that seems to be antagonizing U.S. allies. During the first year of his presidency, Trump spent more time lashing out at the Central European nation known for sauerkraut, eco-friendliness and high-quality cars than he did criticizing Russia, despite allegations of its election interference and assassination plots abroad. In the hometown of Trump's grandfather Frederick Trump, Karlstadt, residents share the ambivalent feelings of the U.S. president over his heritage. Ever since Trump became a presidential candidate, Karlstadt residents have been trying to balance pride for their small town's new significance with the unease many there feel about the president's controversial policies and rhetoric. After all, the president hasn't always fully embraced his roots. In his famous 1987 book, The Art of the Deal, Trump claimed that his grandfather came here from Sweden as a child. That's the version Trump's family spread during World War II to avoid conflicts with customers and friends. Even much later, in the years after his book was published, Trump sometimes perpetuated that inaccuracy, even though he had already acknowledged his German roots by that time. These days, distinguishing between Sweden and Germany wouldn't make much difference anyway. Trump is deeply unpopular in both countries. Polscam contributed to this post. More on worldviews. As Trump rattles NATO, 42% of Germans now want EU. As troops out of the country, the World Cup is a victory for the immigrant dream. German leader revels in deportations in a week when a refugee sent back to Kabul apparently hanged himself.